The gentle clink of a spoon against ceramic was the only sound that filled the kitchen, a quiet rhythm in the otherwise stifling stillness. The refrigerator hummed softly in the background, indifferent to the emotional storm about to unfold. I sat across from Natalie, watching her absently stir granola into her yogurt. Her eyes were dull, half-lidded, avoiding mine. She used to greet every morning with a smile and infectious energy, but lately, she seemed like a shadow of herself, distant, distracted, disconnected. For weeks, we'd been orbiting each other, like planets in separate galaxies, sharing space, yes, but nothing more. No warmth, no intimacy, just the motions. But this morning, I knew, would not follow the same empty pattern. My throat tightened as I tapped the screen of my phone, placing it on the kitchen counter between us. A low crackle burst from the small speaker as a short recording began to play. Only a few seconds long, but long enough to detonate the lie we'd been living in. There it was, her breath, soft and rhythmic, heavy with sleep. Then, clear as day, came the whisper. A name, not mine. Liam, not honey, not babe, not even. A gentle mumble of endearment meant for me. Just that one word, laced with longing. Liam. Her co-worker. The man with the too slick smile. The kind who always laughed a little too hard at her jokes and held eye contact just a little too long. I'd seen the way he looked at her, and now I knew she'd look back. Natalie froze. Her spoon halted. Mid-stir, her eyes snapped open wide and locked onto the phone, her face slowly draining of color. Her hands trembled slightly before she clenched them together in her lap, a pitiful attempt to steady herself. The silence stretched between us like a taut wire, fragile and waiting to snap. She finally spoke, her voice faint, almost alien in its fragility. What was that? I leaned back in my chair, deliberately casual, masking the tempest inside me. With a cool detachment, I looked at her, really looked at her. The woman I'd once trusted with my entire heart now sat before me, a stranger cloaked in guilt. That, I said, almost kindly, that's you, last night, talking in your sleep, or rather, dreaming. Her mouth opened and shut, no words forming, like a fish gasping for air. Her eyes darted, searching for an escape route that didn't exist. You recorded me, she finally asked, voice hoarse, tinged with the beginnings of anger deflection. Wrapped in disbelief, I nodded, a small smile flickering at the corners of my mouth. Yeah, I've been recording my sleep for a few weeks now. I lied smoothly. Apparently, sleep talking can be revealing. The truth was, I'd only begun recording 2 nights ago after I found a trail of suggestive, deleted messages on her work computer. Hidden but not gone. She thought I'd never look. She thought I'd never doubt her. She was wrong. I don't know what you think you heard, she stammered, her fingers now fidgeting with the edge of her napkin. The gesture used to be cute. Now it made my skin crawl. Don't, I said quietly. Don't insult both of us by pretending this is nothing. I paused. And don't pretend you don't know exactly who Liam is. Her flinch at his name was involuntary. That was all the confirmation I needed. It's just a name, she whispered. But even she didn't believe it. I stood, the chair scraping sharply against the floor. I walked to the counter, folded my arms, and stared her down. No, it's the name, the one you whisper in your sleep like a secret prayer. The one you don't say when I'm next to you. That name's been on your mind, in your heart, maybe even in your bed. Tears welled in her eyes, spilling down her cheeks. I'm sorry, she said, her voice cracking. But it was too late. The apology felt rehearsed, mechanical something. She thought she was supposed to say. I saw no real remorse, only fear. Fear of the consequences. Save it, I said coldly. I'm not doing this anymore. She gasped softly, her whole body trembling. She knew then that this wasn't just a fight to win. It was a reckoning, a severing. I packed a small bag while she followed me from room to room, pleading. Grasping at excuses, I said nothing. I walked out, the door slamming behind me with a finality that echoed louder than any words ever could. The week that followed, blurred by in a haze of sleepless nights and unrelenting rage. I stayed with a friend, unable to eat, unable to think clearly. Every time I closed my eyes, I heard her whispering that name. Every time I opened them, I saw her sitting there, broken, guilty, trying to claw back a life she had already destroyed. But through the grief, something colder emerged, a clarity, a resolve. They weren't going to get away with this. Not her, not Liam. I began collecting proof. I used my access to her computer, digging through old chats, emails, digital traces they thought were gone. I compiled it all: printed messages, call logs, calendar entries, evidence, proof of betrayal, proof of deception. Then I found Liam's social media, his curated, smugly perfect life, his downtown apartment, the car, the image he projected to the world, a man of charm and success. A Fawade. I waited for the right day. Tuesday, ordinary for them, but for me, it would be the reckoning. I parked a block away from Liam's apartment and waited in my car. She arrived first. I recognized her silhouette instantly, then him grinning, smug. They disappeared inside. I gave it a minute. Then I followed. When he opened the door, his confusion melted into fear the second he saw me. He tried to speak, but I didn't let him. My fist landed squarely on his jaw, sending him stumbling backward. I didn't stop. I threw him onto the couch, grabbed his shirt, slammed him into the wall. I let every ounce of my fury loose. The betrayal, the humiliation, the heartbreak. He whimpered beneath my blows, a pathetic shell of the man who thought he could steal another man's wife. I stopped only when he lay curled up, gasping, bleeding. Natalie stood by the door, frozen. I turned to her and tossed the thick stack of printouts at her feet. "These are for you," I said, my voice sharp and cold. "I've got copies for your office, for your parents, for anyone who still thinks you're worth respecting. You wanted this to stay secret. Let's make it public." She dropped to her knees, scrambling to gather the pages. Her tears flowed freely now, but I felt nothing, no pity, no guilt, just emptiness. I looked down at them, her sobbing, him broken, and felt a hollow satisfaction. They had set fire to my life. Now they could live in the ashes. I walked out without another word. The next morning, I left town. No destination, no plan, just distance. I couldn't stay, not where every corner held a memory tainted by betrayal. I didn't look back. I wasn't sure what came next, but I knew it would be mine to decide, not theirs.